Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jason and you're watching Jason Jensen Trains. You know, I get so excited every time I go out to the mailbox and I get a new kit from the Kit of the Month Club. I instantly want to build it, and I start thinking, how can I combine it with another kit? What other color combinations can I come up with? Getting that kit in the mail every month gets me even more excited about the hobby than what I already am. It's just incredible. If you don't know about it, it's a Kit of the Month Club through FosScaleModels.com. Well, in today's episode, we're going to take one of those Kit of the Months and combine it with another Foss scale model. All right, well, like always, we have a lot of work to do, so let's get to it. And I have a bonus build at the end of the video. Okay, for today's kit bash, we are using two kits from Foss Scale Models. The first one is Rothman's Pawn Shop. And we're only going to be using that structure right there, the one on the end. We'll save the pawn shop for another build. And then next to that, we're going to build Hoffman Records. It's from the Kit of the Month Club. As you can see, it's the January kit from this year. So here is the red structure. So as you can see, I've already got my walls braced. Next, I'm going to quick stain them. So I got some new brushes from Hobby Lobby, and they were on sale, half off. So it was like $6.50 for these. I know I've mentioned this before, but it's very important not to soak the wood. Just do a nice thin layer. You can always put a second coat over it if you want to darken it. But if you go thin, you avoid the risk of having the walls warp. And I'm using murky brown. I laugh because I tend to use this a lot. It's just a great color for a base coat. Now everything is dry. And now we're going to go over it again with a thin coat of shadow gray. It doesn't even have to be a solid coat. It can be kind of streaky. For the large structure, we're going to use green, and it's Hauser Medium Green. And then for the smaller structure that goes next to it, we're going to use gray, slate gray. And they're both going to get white trim. This will be fun because I haven't done this combination before. I don't actually know if I've done a gray building before. So this is kind of new for me. Now our green is all done, and we're going to use slate gray. I just finished staining all of the strip wood, again using murky brown. Then I painted doors and windows with iced coffee. Then after it was dry, I just very quickly brushed over it with the murky brown, just so it matched a little better with the wood. And I forgot, there's plastic windows and doors for the large building, so we need to get those and paint those with the iced coffee. Now we're going to paint all of the doors and windows and trim with light buttermilk. So we're using a sponge. So I just took some thin pieces of strip wood, stained them murky brown, then sponged on our off-white, which is light buttermilk. And this is going to be for the trim underneath the overhang of the roof. It was just kind of bothering me that it didn't have any trim. I mean, it's fine without it, but I think this adds a nice little detail. I'll show you in a second what this looks like. I'm trying to get my angles to line up perfectly. Well, I finally used up my entire bottle of white Elmer's glue. So I was at Home Depot and I bought this. I had never used this before. I know, crazy. I would buy an entire gallon of this without using it. But I know a lot of modelers that swear by this. So that's what I've been using on this project. And what I'll say is it's a stronger bond. I think it sets up quicker than the white Elmer's glue. The downside is that it dries yellow, so you have to really be careful and use it sparingly, but I'm happy with it. And like I said, the only downside is that it dries yellow. Now I will say though, for gluing on like paper signs, the white Elmer's glue I think works better than Titebond. You have a little bit more time to work with it. So I'll probably actually go and buy a gallon of the white Elmer's glue just to have both on hand. Next, there's two dormers that go on the roof. So let's get those put together. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about or your opinion on Elmer's glue versus Titebond. I think they're both great and they both have their purpose. Now for the windows on the dormer, I'm using tacky glue. So I just use an old brush that's really thin and I just dab it on the back. Then I lay it down on my piece of acetate that's already cut. In the kit, they are pre-cut for you. So just lay it on there and press it down. So again, it's easiest if you pick it up with tweezers. Take your brush and just dab it onto the back. It's pretty sticky. Then just lay it right down on top of the acetate. Press it. Now this is for the laser cut windows. If they're plastic like these, for this structure are plastic, for that we'll use this liquid cement. You know, while I was putting this window together, there's an outer frame and then there's the window frame. Well, I glued the outer frame on first. Then I slid the window in from the back side and positioned it. And I had glue on everything. Well, the outside window frame was slightly to the right and I needed to push it back over to center it. The Titebond had already dried. I actually had to cut it off there, put my blade under it and just lift it. It's not a big deal, but I don't really like how fast the Titebond sets up. Where the Elmer's glue, you have a little bit of time to play with it and move things around and get it positioned exactly where you want it. So I'm noticing some differences with it for sure. Now with the white Elmer's glue, let me see if I have a bottle. This one is my 50-50. Half water, half glue. Make sure you buy the full strength. some of them down in the corner or at the bottom here, it'll say school glue. Do not buy the school glue. I think it's watered down, it's thinner, it's like safer for kids. It is not full strength. So make sure you get the full strength Elmer's glue. Okay, on these dormers, the trim is already on there. So we need to paint that trim. I'll hold it up so you can see what I'm talking about. But there's trim on each side. And then the edges, we'll paint the edges white. You'll notice that on this build, my workbench has been pretty chaotic. Let me see if you can. It's been pretty messy because I'm working super fast on this to get it done. It's an easy build, but I also just want to get on to doing some scenery work. So after this, I probably have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think I have 3 more buildings. And then that new section that we're working on, the structures will be all done. So then I can move on to doing scenery and putting in roads. So I'm really looking forward to getting that. Sorry, I was painting. I'm looking forward to getting to that stage. It's been a while since I've got to do some finished scenery. I'll show you this quick. Now we can, let's see, take some iced coffee. Why don't we do that quick? We'll take some iced coffee and a sponge and make it look like it's chipping. Then we have our little sides that we'll glue on there. I'm really liking this color, this slate gray. It kind of has a bluish tint to it. I wanted to show you quick that all the windows on this kit come with window sills. And let me show you. It's a cool detail because they pop out. So all the windows, even the little ones, like up on the top. Now I'm taking a file and filing the bottom of these at an angle so it fits a little better on the roof. Just take your time, go slow. Don't try to wear it down all at once. You'll end up breaking it. Hopefully you can see that's now at an angle, a slight angle at the bottom. That way it'll sit better on the roof. If you take the time to file it quick, you'll get nice smooth edges and it just fits together better. And it'll look more to scale, where if you see little gaps, it doesn't quite look to scale, because that's not how it would be in real life. It doesn't take long. Now if you're doing tar paper, go ahead and put your strips of tar paper on the roof. Then glue your dormer on top of it. I am going to do shingles on this. And we're doing shingles that are from Best. Let's see if there's a website. Yeah, right here. Here's our roof cards for the dormers. It's hard to know, maybe if I read the instructions, it's hard to know where to place these dormers. I want that roof to sort of peak and line up with the top. I'm holding this, wishing I had a pencil. Why don't I have a pencil? Okay, let's try this again with a pencil. And I really love using mechanical pencils. So you just buy replacement lead and then you simply click the end and it comes out further. I'm sure most of you know. And then if you hold it, you can push it all the way back in. So you don't have to stop and sharpen your pencil. I marked it because this tight bond sets up so quick that I'm worried that I don't have much time to move it around and position it. This tight bond is definitely good for, say, bracing, gluing all your bracing on, and then gluing the four walls together. For everything else, I'm going to use white Elmer's glue. Nice. Now I'll need to paint the underside of this on the edges the light buttermilk before I glue this on. Now let's add some trim under the roof. Yeah, it's really surprising how fast that tight bond sets up. So there's our trim. Now we'll do the same on this one. Now again, this trim is not provided in the kit. I bought this thin wood from Northeastern Scale Lumber. Okay, now before we put our shingles on, here is a sheet. And these are, the name escapes me, but you peel off the back and then you just stick them down. Anyways, what we're going to do is take a couple markers. It's okay if it looks like big lines because they all get separated. And then it won't. I'll show you some that I have done already. You can see I'm holding it sideways, just dragging it over. This is a warm gray. This one is called caramel. Oh, let's see, what else do I have? This one is a light brown. It's kind of a reddish brown. Let me quick grab some that are already done. Maybe hard to see, but and I'll show you what it looks like when they're on here. I think if you want to buy these, it might just be natural color. I don't know if there's a color on here. Yeah, well, neutral. I grabbed this blade because it's sharper than my X-Acto blade. I think it's time for a new one. Okay, so as you can see, just by cutting the ends off, now they're all individual. So it's pretty basic. Just hold it up there. You can mark it with a pencil first if you want to. Mark it, make your cut, peel the back off, and stick it on. Now it is pretty sticky, so you want to make sure you have it right where you want it. And then on the next row, we need to make sure that we stagger it. Usually there's a split in the center or somewhere on the back. So you just peel one off, peel the other one off. And then you probably don't want to wait too long to lift some of them. Okay, so we've got 4 rows done. Alright, well, this will take a little while, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish this and then show you what it looks like when it's all done. Hopefully this helped some people. If you've never used these shingles before, it's pretty nice. It's nice having the sticky back. By the way, the company that makes the shingles, same company as the stain. Okay, this one is done. Just put some weathering on it. Okay, we are moving right along on this second structure. And here's the storefront for it. And then we also have a enclosed staircase that we're adding, maybe right about there. Next, I need to get this roof put on and all of the pieces. We've got some trim that goes on here, and then there's trim that's above that storefront. So I think first I'll get a sponge and sponge on our light buttermilk on these pieces and get the storefront finished, and then we'll do the roof, and again we'll have to put shingles on it. Well, as you can see, I'm getting quite a bit of shingles put down. What I do is I'll paint an area with flat black paint. Then, as you can see here, I left it exposed. Now, I'm hoping you can see the nail holes in the shingles. That is done with a pencil, and you can take a sharp number 2 pencil and poke little holes to make it look like the wood shingles are actually nailed down. Alright, I'll finish the rest of this, and then I think we need to get some tar paper put on here. Okay, so I just glued the stairwell to the side of the structure. You know, when I built it, I wasn't thinking ahead. I had to trim off the the overhang of the roof and the trim so that that would fit flush against the side. Now we'll glue it to the other structure. I will say the Tight Bond glue is super strong, and you really don't have much time to move it around. It sets up pretty quick, at least compared to the White Elmer's glue. Maybe someone who's always used the Tight Bond before, they're just used to it, but it's kind of new to me, so. So I found a couple beer signs online. I just did a Google search and then dragged them onto my desktop and put them on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Then I took sandpaper and sanded the back, and the sandpaper is I started with 150 and then did a light sanding with 220. Then I cut it out after I sanded it. Then I put some of the Tight Bond glue there, getting my brush wet. Have to go kind of fast because that Tight Bond sets up quick. Now we'll take some of our green that we used. Now I just took some of the green paint, put it on there, then I keep dipping my brush in water, getting it wet. And then I went over around the edges of the sign. This gets rid of the paper look. That green soaks in so you don't have a white edge. And you can put some of it actually on the sign. All right, well, you're in for a treat because today we're going to do a bonus build. We are doing another Kit of the Month from Foscale Models. And I think I'm going to build this as is. If anything, I may just change the colors. So we have our instructions. Alright, looks pretty straightforward. Let's see. I think, just looking at it, I think I'm going to do red with white trim to give it more of a red, white, and blue look. Alright, let's get started. First, we'll cut out our walls. There's our back wall. It shows you how to brace it. The red is where it goes. We'll quick file our edges. Then there is a little pop out on the side. And again, we'll file these. Okay, let's get to bracing. We have an extra piece, and I think I'll save this to go across the peak of the roof. Okay, let's get these all glued on. Now on the side walls, we want to put the bracing in. I'll show you in a second. So you just take a regular piece of bracing, put it right on the edge, and then put this one right next to it. Okay, this is the back wall, so the bracing will go all the way to the edge. Now the good thing is Titebond dries really fast, so we should be able to stain this pretty soon. I have some extra bracing here, and I'm going to put bracing along the bottom. Now this part's not necessary, but I know that because it has lines in it, that it can tend to curl. So that should hold it. I'll go get a cup of coffee and let this completely dry, and then we'll come back and stain it. Okay, I'm back. I had some coffee. Next, we're going to paint this. This is all of the doors and windows, and we're going to paint it with, you guessed it, iced coffee. Now let's look at the picture. The window frame is metal. It has a windowsill. Then this front door. I bet that front door, I'm going to say that it's metal. So we just want to be careful. We don't, yeah, we'll make the door and the window frame in the front metal. So we'll paint that silver, but the rest of it gets painted with the iced coffee. Now don't try to cover this all at once. Really just go over it with a thin coat. Okay, we're leaving that. No, that goes to that. Okay, this is wood. So there's a window on each side, and then there's a big window in the back. Let's make the frames wood, and maybe the inner window sill metal. We'll make that one silver, and we'll make these wood. Now with those bottom window sills, you want to, or window ledges, whatever you want to call them, need to paint both sides. Now we'll just rinse our brush, dab it off so that it's not totally soaked, so it's a little damp. Now we'll just quick go over those again, and that gives it a solid look. If you try to do it all at once, it gets too thick. You want a nice thin coat. Now we'll be sponging white over these, so a lot of it gets covered, but you want a good base. Now we'll take silver. Any silver will work. Now this is thin. Most silver paint is thin, so this will probably take 3 coats. Okay, we'll let that dry, and we can speed it up. Okay, now we're going to stain. Okay, now we're going to use shadow gray. Okay, now we can start to paint our red. And I'm using French wine. Now this part might take a while. Let's see. First we have to figure out there's a top and a bottom. Important to know the top and the bottom because you want more paint at the top and more chipping at the bottom. Now this is kind of like dry brushing, but you're using more paint. You're just lightly dragging it. You're not applying much pressure at all. Now you can even go in with a sponge in areas where you think it needs more paint. Just sponge over it. Okay, I'll do the rest of these. Okay, our red is done. Let's move on to the white. Light buttermilk. Now, let's cut out our silver pieces so we don't get white paint on them. Now they're delicate, so you need to be very gentle with them. Now, the rest of this can be sponged. Okay, the front of the wall is inside here. So this is actually the foundation. You can see it has a little sidewalk and curb engraved in it. We'll save all these little pieces. But this here is the front. Now I'm sure the instructions tell you to put all the signs and the windows and doors on before putting this together. And don't ask me why I'm not doing that, but I'm not. Okay, now we'll take our corner trim. I don't know about anyone else, but I'd like to put the rougher more chipped side down towards the bottom. So I always like to rotate it before I glue it in place. Make sure that no glue is seeping out where you can see it, especially if you're using the Type Bond, because it dries yellow. Okay. Now let's move on to windows. And the clear acetate is already laser cut for you. So all you have to do is cut those out. Okay, let's get these tops glued on. Okay, we'll let that dry. Okay, I just brushed on some pigments. Not much, just to give it a little bit of weathering. You'll notice on here there is a piece of brick, or a brick wall section. That is for a chimney. So you cut your chimney to the length that you want out of this piece. Then you wrap that around it. Now, if you're building this at home, please read the instructions. Don't do it like I am. And I recommend using a ruler when cutting these out, even though I'm not doing it. Okay, real quick, I'm going to take a, do I want brown or do I want gray? Maybe a gray. You want to go quick with that marker, because if you go slow, it'll just bleed into the paper. Not good. I probably should test fit these. Now the bottom has a little bit of white showing, so okay, for this, I wish I had my white Elmer's glue, but I don't have any. So I just dipped my brush in the water. Okay, now we got to move kind of quick. Okay, nice. Now I'm going to put in the beam across the top. Now this piece isn't necessary, I just like to have an extra support. But you could put your tar paper on the roof card while it's flat and then glue it on. And it would be fine. Now let's take our American flag. Well, I kind of got in too big a hurry and I should have left some white around it. Something to glue. Okay, here's what we're going to do with this. We're actually going to cut it a hair smaller. I'm doing it the hard way. What I recommend is cutting it larger, leaving white around it. That way you can put the glue on the white part and have it stick to the back of this. Okay, so it's a little bit smaller, hair smaller. So what we're going to do is take Scotch tape, clear Scotch tape, position it where you want it, and of course it moves. now we'll just trim off all the extra. All right, problem solved. This would have been so much easier when that wall was not connected. Yeah, let's get rid of that little piece for now. Get our window set. Now, felt like it was a little bit wide, so I'm just had to thin it a little bit. Oh, nice. Nice. So you can see I had to put in a little piece of our corner trim right next to that window. Now we'll get our door glued in. Okay, now we can cut these roof cards. Okay, now there's not much overhang, just a little bit, but we'll still go ahead and paint the underside. I brushed on some dark brown pigments and then also did some dry brushing. And then I put a thin layer of dark brown on that pipe, and we'll let that dry, and then I'll put another coat on it and add some rust. While that's drying, we have two things to do. We have our rocket ship that we have to cut out, paint, and glue on the front. And then we've got 4 little signs here that I want to add to it. All right, we're going to get a little wash on this pipe here, but there's our rocket. Okay, I think that's it for now. We'll definitely add more details around it when we get it on the layout. And like I said, I want to add more signs to it, but that's just a great little kit. All right, so here they are in the new section. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. You know, I have to apologize because the last video, I did not respond to any of the comments. I've just been so busy with life and work and modeling, but I do love hearing from all of you. So please be sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. And in this video, I will try to respond to everyone. You know, it's getting to be harder and harder for me to respond to people because there's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, email. It's just sometimes very overwhelming, but trust me, I appreciate all of you. And a big thank you to my Patreons. Man, you guys are the best. You guys really make this channel possible. So thank you. All right, well, Until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.